I am so excited because today is one of my favourite days, and that is a pottering day. So we have no major tasks planned, nothing we really need to do, but we're just going to potter in the vegetable garden, and we're going to take you with us. Hi, I'm Debbie and welcome to Vintage Food Farm. Pottering in the garden is where you really appreciate everything that you have planted and everything that is growing. You see all the little bits and pieces that you need to fix, but if you treat it as a really nice, relaxing day, it is so much fun. So let's go and spend the day pottering. So Tim has got a load of mill mud, and I'll actually show you how we collect the mill mud, because we don't want to pay for delivery, and we do have a trailer, so we just go and get a load of mill mud every now and then. So then we can use this to top up any gardens or fill up some pots. Mill mud is absolutely beautifully crumbly, light soil filled with organic matter and nutrients. How much do we pay for mill mud?
I think it's $50 or $55 a cubic metre.
So that's good value.
Yeah, really good.
Is that cheaper or more expensive than normal potting mix?
I think it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot cheaper. I think people don't see the value in mill mud, so yeah.
So when we're pottering, we always have our basket here so that any produce or anything that we've picked, like here's a rosella that's ready to pick, and we can just put everything in the basket and take it all into the kitchen at once. So because we're nearly finished this trailer of mill mud, we will go down again in a few weeks, probably in about a month, and we will get another trailer load, and that will last us for months and months and months and months. And I think it costs us like $70 in total. And then we can do all of our pot plants, all of our topping up of our gardens, all of our hanging baskets. And it is very convenient because we have the trailer just set up here in the corner, covered in a tarp with a spade. And then we can get our mill mud whenever we want it. And when I get it, I wouldn't necessarily get it in big loads like this. I would just get a small trowel and fill up my pots with it, or fill up a wheelbarrow and take it to the pots. So you can see here, we load up the trailer onto the back of the car. In the past, and this time, we've got the tray of the car filled up as well. We're not actually going to do that next time because the pressure is on to empty it, and we don't want any pressure at all. We want to stay calm on the farm. So we're only going to get the trailer load. And now that we've filled up all the garden beds and everything, that is totally heaps. So we will hook the trailer up to the car, and we drive down the mountain, down the Kuranda Range, and we pull our car up into the driveway. We go in and we let the guys know what we want and how much we want, and we pay for it. They then come on the loudspeaker, they get the guy with the front end loader to come and meet us at the mill mud. They then use the front end loader and they fill up the whole trailer, and they fill up the back of the tray, but we're not going to do that next time unless we've got some major project that we want to do. And that's it. Then we drive all the way back up the range, park our trailer in the corner, and we have enough potting mix, dirt, and we have enough mill mud to last us for months and months and months for $70. So a few of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to get some ash from the fire pit and we're going to put that onto the veggie garden, and that's really great for the tomatoes in particular because it's got potassium in it, potash. We have topped up one of the garden beds, and then we also are going to plant some herbs. I've dug some herbs up from around the garden and we're going to replant them into the herb garden. And I am also going to plant some spring onions, and they are actually store-bought spring onions, so I'll show you how you can just chop the tops off and plant them as well. So this is the arch that the cucamelons were on, and then we had a really hot time and the cucamelons died, but that doesn't matter because we have heaps more on another trellis, so I'm not worried about cucamelons ever because they are even coming up here again now. But I'll just show you, these are the larger tomatoes that I have planted. You can see that the bitter melon is starting to come back, so that died off towards the end of the wet season, and now in the cool it's coming back. I've got some fish mint. These are zucchinis, more fish mint. We've got some broccoli. The broccoli probably won't work, but I'm just going to try it again anyway, probably about the third time. It just, by the time it gets to getting a head on it, it's starting to get humid again and it can't handle it, but I'm still trying again, so we'll see what happens. These are baby tree lettuce coming up. Here's some more tree lettuce coming up, and you can see I had the chickens in here and they've taken the top off them, but they'll still come up okay. This is betel leaf. Betel leaf is amazing with lemongrass beef. When you wrap it up in lemongrass beef and grill it, so yummy. There's a weed. More fish mint. These are all bitter melon seedlings coming up. More betel leaf. The reason I'm planting betel leaf inside the arch is because when the arch gets covered with bitter melon and tomato, it gets shady, and the betel leaf does really, really well in the shade, and so does the fish mint. Hundreds of little baby cherry tomato plants popping up. So it's just that time of year when all the seeds start to come up. So this whole bed will be just filled with cherry tomatoes. We're already starting to get some cherries, and we really like cherries. They've got a great flavour, really intense. You can just pick a whole tray of cherry tomatoes. These are the really tiny ones. These are actually just throwbacks from larger tomatoes that I've just chucked in the ground, and these are what have grown. But you can just do a whole oven tray of cherry tomatoes with some oil, maybe a little bit of garlic, some onions, some eggplant, whatever you want. But even just plain tomatoes and olive oil, roast them in the oven, turn them through some pasta with some Parmesan cheese on it, and it is yum. I'll show you here, we've still got a ton of wing beans, way more than what we can eat. So we're going to leave some of these ones to get really big so that we've got some seeds, but it's still flowering and it's still giving us beautiful, and the chickens, heaps and heaps. Wing beans everywhere. So this is one of our silver Sussex chickens. Come back here and let me film you. You can see there's more wing beans here on the fence. This is why I love pottering. You really appreciate what you've grown. So this lady here, she is a silver Sussex chicken. Hey, where you going? And the reason she's in the veggie garden, she's the only chicken in here at the moment, is because she is broody, which means she will sit in her nesting box for weeks and weeks at a time because her nature tells her that she needs to sit on eggs and keep them warm for 21 days so that she can hatch them. The problem is none of the eggs are fertilised by a rooster, so there is no point in her sitting there for that long. Now, usually we would leave them to brood and just give them, I don't know what they want to do, but she's been brooding for so long that I'm a little bit worried because she was finding it hard to walk. She was a little bit shaky, so I've put her in the veggie garden for the day so she can have a really good feed, drink lots of water, eat lots of greens, and get herself back together. I love it when stuff flowers. So these are just nasturtium flowers. They're all coming back now that the wet season is over. This is all asparagus. So I cut this back because it was all ratty. That's a papaya leaf. And now you can see all the asparagus coming back. Here, the spinach. This is just, you know, like a standard normal spinach. Has all gone to flower and seed with these beautiful, such pretty little lacy lilac flowers. There's some more cherries under there, cherry tomatoes. So we've got some plants here that we've dug up from around the garden that we're going to plant into the herb garden. So we've got some curly parsley, which is not my favourite parsley. We've got flat leaf there as well. But since we've got it, we'll plant it. And some garlic chives and some rosemary and Japanese mint. You might think our gorilla cart looks a little worse for wear, but if you had any idea what it has been through, it's pretty good. So Tim's just going to put these seedlings down here, just anywhere. And then we're going to go and get some potash. And we're going to put the potash on first, dig it in a little bit, water it in, and then we're going to plant some herbs. And this is a very old spindly Thai basil, which we're actually going to rip out, and we are going to put these seeds into the nice fresh mill mud so that we have heaps more Thai basil grow. And you can see in the middle of this garden bed, we have this beautiful papaya tree with heaps of papaya growing, and we're already harvesting off of this one. If you've seen any of our shorts, the short little YouTube videos, you'll see the absolute invasion of cockatoos in the chicken coop, and even in the background of this video you can hear them just going on and on and on all day, but they're pretty cute. See that the Chinese celery is really coming up nice again now that the hot, humid, wet season is over. And heaps of tomatoes coming up everywhere. So the difference in the weather between the wet season and the dry season is just black and white. It is really wet, really humid and really hot in the wet season, and a lot of people can't handle it. In the dry season, it is freezing in the morning, during the night and in the evening, but in the daytime it is absolutely perfect. I'm probably a little bit too hot, but I'm standing right in the sun, but it is absolutely beautiful weather. It's so beautiful. So Tim is now going to drive the gorilla cart down to the fire pit, and we'll meet him down there, and he's going to get some potash so that we can sprinkle that on the garden. So I'm going to sneak down to the back of the vegetable garden, and I'm going to hope that you can see the cockatoos and what happens when they don't think we're looking. So they've got the bucket of sunflower seeds open. Somehow they've got the lid off, which was on, and they are eating the food right out of the bucket. So I am going to go and stop that right now. So I'm going to try and sneak up on this very naughty cockatoo and show you that he has got the lid off the bucket and he is eating the food, the chicken food, out of the bucket. What are you doing? What are you doing? Look at that, he's got the sunflowers, and there's his mate, his little gang member. So I'm going to lock these lids up very well. The chickens are all horrified that those cockatoos are in here. They hate them. What's happening? What's going on? You can bully each other, but you can't bully a cockatoo. Hey? No, you can't? Sunbaking time. Hey guys. You can hear the cockatoos having a tantrum because I took the sunflower seeds off of them. And that is exactly what they're doing. And they will even climb up a tree. This is for real. If I am standing under a tree, they will go up to the top of the tree and they will bite a branch off and throw it at me. Not drop it, they will actually throw branches at me. It's a war zone. It's a war zone. So here comes Tim with the gorilla cart. Down to the fire pit. And he's going to dig up this ash from our last fire night. So when we have family over, we usually get all the camp chairs out and sit around the fire and toast marshmallows and do everything else that you normally do around a fire. It's really lovely. Look at all that potassium-rich potash. So all wood that's burnt from this property. So all the bush in the back there and all around the front, there's heaps of trees with heaps of branches that drop down, and Tim cuts that into firewood. Or if it's a bigger, longer branch, he might just drag it over to the wood pile, and then we bring all of that over to light our fires. So we do have a wood chipper. And it is fantastic, especially for palm fronds. But honestly, the easiest way to deal with excess wood that has dropped down and palm fronds is to burn them and then use that potash in the garden. Yep. So any of these big bits of wood will just break down over time and feed the worms, fill the garden bed. So look how much potash we've got. There's a bit of leaf, a bit of dirt in there as well, but still, that is going to make our garden so healthy. And off he goes back to the veggie garden. So we're going to put some of the potash on the larger tomatoes that I've just planted, that I planted a couple of weeks ago, and then we're going to put the rest of the potash into the garden that we're going to plant up today. Key is to come as close as you can to where you are working for minimum effort.
Which is why the gorilla cart is good, because it can go almost anywhere.
Yeah. This is Tim's new favourite, very cheap spade that he got from the field day.
That's so strong.
Yeah, 15 bucks. Really nice. So basically, we just want to sprinkle the potash around the base of the tomatoes and everywhere really. Just sprinkle it around and then we'll hose it in. Just chuck it around everywhere. And that will put a heap of potassium into the soil for these tomatoes so that they grow lots of fruit. Yep, so we're just going to sprinkle potash around everywhere and then move to the next garden. Easy. So a few months ago, if you remember, this fence was covered in pumpkins and they've all died off, but heaps more are coming up. So in a couple of months, there's another little rogue tomato. This fence, again, will be covered in pumpkins and we will get tons of pumpkins, more than we can eat off that. Hello, Rotty the rooster. Your head is a bit dirty. Have you been in the mud? Have you been in the mud, Mr. Rotty?
He likes that.
Oh, look at you. Look at you, you little muddy comb. Look at you. He's so sweet. He's such a nice little loving, quiet rooster. He's pretty nice to the hens too. He's definitely the boss, but he doesn't hurt them. So now we're going to put the potash on top of the mill mud. Just pop these over there. So we'll just get the seeds off those and plant them once we've done this. I could cut them back, but we've got so much Thai basil through the rest of the garden that it really doesn't matter. Have a look at this coriander. These are all the seed, or actually it's gone to what, flower. So these are all the flowers that are turning into seed pods. Just insane how much there is. And then there's another beautiful big papaya tree. So Tim's put a heap of the potash on top of the mill mud, and then he's just going to turn that through just a little bit. We don't need to be too precious because the water will wash it all down over time anyway. And look at that, that is beautiful. Mill mud and potash. These are going to be happy herbs. And the good thing about gardening where you have a lot of self-seeding action going on, so lots of Thai basil and everything that self-seeds, is if you need to top up your garden beds and put some nice new fresh mill mud down or some, you know, some ash or whatever it is that you're doing, you've got so many seeds around that you can just sprinkle it all on the top, and in a couple of months you are going to have everything back to beautiful flourishing again. So you can see here, this is all Thai basil that has grown up from seed everywhere. There's more here. That's a lemon basil that's come up, and they will just keep coming up everywhere. So it's not a case of planting where you want things, it's just if they grow in the right place, leave them, and if not, get rid of them. The mint all died off towards the end of the wet season, but we've still left bits everywhere so that it can come back, and it will. So Tim's just watering that all in. So Tim's finished watering the garden in now. So we'll just go and plant up those plants. And I'm also going to show you how we do spring onions in the afternoon when all the chickens start to chill and have a rest. So you can see here, we have a whole wheelbarrow filled with pots that have just been potted up with dirt that we filled up from the mill mud in the trailer. Hello, Sheila. Hello, what you doing? You're hanging around. Hey, Sheila Blue Healer. Hey, Sheila Blue Healer. So then we just take this over to the potting table and pot up whatever it is that we're going to do. And it's a lot of effort to fill all the pots at once, but then it's so easy to plant it out as we get time. Are you following me? So there's a coconut in a bucket of water that is going to sprout. This is an old gate that we got on Facebook because we always need old gates. And here's the headless cockatoo hanging on for dear life. I should plant something in him. Did you want to come in? Does Lexi want to come in? Lexi likes to check there's no scary things in the veggie garden. So I'm going to grab some seeds from the marigolds, because marigolds, I'm pretty convinced, really help with pests, because we have hardly any pests. I know we've got chickens as well, but I'm actually going to chuck some of these in the new bed too, just so that wherever we plant stuff, so when we dig the other plants in, they'll all get dug in. So We actually have spring onions in the garden, but I did want some more. So I just went and bought 2 bunches of spring onions from the supermarket. It is quicker to grow them this way than from seed, obviously, or from seedlings. And it's more cost effective because you get to use the whole top of the onion and then you can plant the bottom and you'll get heaps more spring onion. What I haven't really talked about much is why raised garden beds are so good in the tropics. And that is for drainage. So if you have a look at our feet, that is how wet the ground is. So it would be very difficult to grow some things in those conditions. Not everywhere is that wet. There's only certain places that are wet. But we find that when we use the raised garden beds, the drainage is really good. So it doesn't matter how much rain we get, it all drains away. So Tim is just planting up these spring onions. Just make a hole, pop them in, and backfill them. Easy. So in a couple of days these will actually start to grow. You can see that they're starting to come up even just in the jar of water. And then in a month or so you will have a heap of spring onions. So here's another one of those bargain tools we bought from the field day. I think it was like $5. So that is garlic chives, and they were already growing in the garden and I dug them up. Same with all this stuff. I much prefer the flavour of flat leaf parsley to curly parsley, but I got a tiny little cheap bag of parsley seeds at a market and chucked them in and they ended up being curly, so we have curly. And this rosemary has lasted the wet and the dry, which is great. There's a sneaky little spring onion growing in there. So I'll just show you here. If you watched our video on the Mariba markets, you'll see that we went to the Lao Ladies Asian grocery store and I bought some taro, and I've been trying to get taro for quite a while. I can buy it at the nursery, but it's quite expensive. So I got some purple taro and I saw at the base of it, it looked like it could actually still be able to grow roots. So I brought it home and I put it in a bucket of water, and guess what? It's very exciting. Look at the roots. So I paid $2 for this purple taro base that we're meant to be cutting up and eating, but I just put them into a bucket of water. $2, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 taro plants. So I'm very happy with that. I'm actually going to plant them in pots to start with so that I can keep them up in the sun on the veranda, because I'm not sure if it's too cold to plant them right now, with it being the dry season and with it getting quite cold and possibly frosty overnight. So I'll get them going in pots on the warm sunny veranda, and then in a few months when the cold is over, I will plant them in the garden. All of the herbs that we needed to plant in this garden bed. And now, because we pulled out that other basil, we're going to grab some seeds off of it and we're just going to throw it in amongst these. So just grab off the seeds and then sprinkle them around. And then if too many basil plants come up, we'll deal with that later. So I'll bring you back here in a couple of months or a few weeks, and I'll show you how quickly and how beautifully all this will come up with all that mill mud and potash. And we're actually going to come back in a minute and put a little bit of our liquid fertiliser. We're going to fertilise the hanging baskets of dragon fruit, and we're going to chuck a bit of fertiliser into some of these garden beds as well, but not too much because pottering only goes so far. So somehow a loofah seed has made its way over here, and we've got loofah growing up the fence. I don't know if you've been able to hear it all, the geese next door in the background. They are very loud but very cute. I just found a cherry tomato. Look in here, another baby passion fruit for the cockatoos to eat. So the last thing we're going to do is go and get some of our homemade liquid compost tea. So you can see here a bit of a snake pit, but we do have firewood laying around everywhere. And then we've got a pile of smaller firewood in the shed for the fire inside. And that's another place that we get potash from, is when we empty the ashes out of the inside fire into a bucket, we put those on the garden as well. So we've come over to the carport, and Tim's got the gorilla cart here ready to go. And he's going to get 1 bucket of the very concentrated compost tea, and we're going to put that into the back of the gorilla cart. It's not perfume, but it doesn't smell that bad. It's really just an uber earthy smell. And that's it. So that's our IBC container, which we have a heap of waste, garden waste, kitchen waste, coffee grinds, eggshells, and then we fill that up with water, and basically we let that break down and then constantly top it up with more waste and more water. It's like an evolving, very gross goodness. We'll tip this gross goodness into the gorilla cart. So Tim has the compost in the gorilla cart, and he's going to go and fill it up at a hose over here. And then we're actually going to stop at the hanging baskets of dragon fruit on the way and give them each a container of fertiliser. I do not want to get splashed with that. I think the key is just to make sure that it's not too strong.
Sheila likes the smell.
You're gross, Sheila. You're gross. Do you like the smell of compost tea? Is that because you're a gross dog? Is that because you're a gross dog? You like stinky stuff? Are you gross? If there is a dead wallaby or a dead anything anywhere, you can guarantee that Sheila is going to roll in it and then come inside and sit next to you. So we don't have a ratio, we just put a bucket in the gorilla cart and then we sort of fill it up to just over halfway so that when we're driving with it, it doesn't splash out, and that works fine. So over here we have our dragon fruit in hanging baskets. As well as putting the liquid fertiliser in with the dragon fruit, Tim is going to give the passion fruit that he planted probably a couple of months ago a little feed. And this is the miniature lime tree that every single time I do a video I say I've given up on and that we're going to rip it out, but I still haven't done it because I keep seeing a new leaf or something and I keep hoping that it's going to survive. Tim needs danger money to do this because he could end up tipping compost on himself.
As long as I don't swallow it. You watch what happens now.
So there are heaps of weeds in these baskets, but I'm hopeful that if we just let it go, the dragon fruit will sort the weeds out. You could just use a smaller container and then you wouldn't be tipping it on yourself, but we could only find a bucket.
So many new shoots.
Yeah.
It's huge. And look at the top.
You can see there where it's starting to grow up over the walkway canopy. So now we are off to the veggie garden to give it a feed. Just a little wash in and around everything when we put the sprinkler on. Have you finished brooding so you can lay me some eggs again? Hey? Have you finished brooding? I don't think so. So we found that to stop a chicken brooding, you need to actually take it away from the nesting box for 3 days. And even when we put her back in there at night, she's going to jump back in there. So we might have to set up the separate cage that we normally do in the veggie garden and put her in there at night as well. Because it's like 3 good days to cool their body down and stop them from brooding. Oh, look, here is so this is a dried wing bean. And I'll break that open and I'll show you the seeds inside. If you break the wing bean open, you can see that you get the seeds. And then anywhere that those seeds go, a wing bean will grow. So you just met Rotty the rooster. This is his hen, who is prawn dumpling. And the reason she's prawn dumpling is if you have a look at her chest, it's like a pinky orangey prawn colour. She's so cute. She's so sweet. What's the matter? What's the matter? What's wrong? Hey? Oh, there's your rooster crowing. Are you staying calm in the farm? Are you staying calm in the farm? Are you going to like and subscribe? Are you going to like and subscribe? Only if you feel like it. Only if you feel like it. You don't have to. You can just turn the video off if you want. It's about you. You're in it. So we have had a really great day in the vegetable garden. I think I'm going to call this video Pottering Episode 1 so that we can do like 500 episodes of pottering. It was really relaxing, really rewarding. If you feel like it, and only if you feel like it, like and subscribe. But most importantly, stay calm in the farm.